Thank you. I don't think the gentleman on my right needs a formal introduction, but I'll just try and give you some figures which explain why he is so revered, venerated in the world of sports, and obviously one of the reasons why he is here. 23 Olympic medals in all, 23 of them gold medals. He says that they are the only ones which matter. The other five don't.
We don't talk about the second and third places. we only like the gold ones.
13 in individual events, and 8 at the Beijing Olympics, the highest ever by any athlete. Just to kind of put it in perspective, 28 medals is what India has won in its Olympic journey over the several decades. That's what he's got. It's not to kind of demean our effort. We've had our issues and we're struggling to become a sporting nation. There are, at last count, 89 other countries which don't measure up to 28 medals that Michael Phelps has won. So that's Michael Phelps. For somebody who actually did not like water, Michael, and you were put into the pool because you were just hyperactive as a child.
So I mean,
what's the early experience?
Well, so I started in the water strictly for water safety. I grew up watching my 2 older sisters compete, and I was always at the pool with them. So my mom just said, I need to learn how to swim. So when I first started getting into the water, I didn't want to get my face wet, and that's what you have to do to swim. So I had to get over that fear, and Miss Kathy Lears basically put together a program that helped me overcome my fear, and I think from that moment on, it got really fun. I was able to kind of relax in the water, and then I started learning just the basic strokes, and everything turned out pretty good.
So your mom wanted to keep you out of mischief, tire you out, so that you sleep well in the night?
Well, with ADHD, I'm always going. Always I can't sit still. My mind is always moving and racing. And so for me, to kind of help me relax and become calm, I was playing baseball, lacrosse, soccer, and I was swimming. So I'd go from the swimming pool to the baseball field, to the lacrosse field, to the soccer field, and then I would go home and sleep. So by that time, it was good that I was all out of energy and I wasn't running around the house.
So you're swimming. You started enjoying swimming. But what stokes the desire to become a champion swimmer? At some stage, you start thinking about, hey, what am I swimming for? Where am I headed?
So I guess my sister was on world championship teams, national teams for the U.S., and I saw that, and she got to travel all over the world and see all these cool places. So I was like, oh, that sounds fun. Maybe I'll try to do that. And then I got with the coach who I spent my whole career with, Bob Bowman, and he told me that I could make the Olympic team at the age of 11. 11 years old. So he said, in 4 years, you have the potential to make the Olympic team. And as an 11-year-old kid, where that's your dream, I said, cool, let's do it. I dropped all the other sports and focused on swimming. And for some reason, I trusted him. I guess he showed confidence in me, and that was something that I was like, cool, let's do this, let's go, let's see what happens. And sure enough, 4 years later, in 2000, I made my first Olympic team and was 5th. Came back from that pretty disappointed. I wanted to come home with a medal, not a piece of paper that said I competed. So I used that as motivation, and 6 months after my first Olympics, I broke my first world record, and then everything else just...
You were barely 16. Were you kind of fully grown physically?
Oh, God, no. No way. I mean, I showed up for the Olympic final, and I didn't even tie my suit. So I wasn't really ready, mentally, physically, anything. It was just a new experience for me, and I think each Olympics I was able to learn different things that helped me for the next games.
When did you reach this frame? You're 1.93 meters tall, but you got a wingspan of 2.01. Can you kind of just feet are size 14? Wow. So did you feel very awkward when you were growing up and suddenly you're spreading, just going?
I mean, I guess I've been this size since I was in high school.
In high school?
Like 16, 17, 18. I've been 6'4", about the same weight my whole career. And I guess it was really just, I guess I grew into my body, I guess you could say. And as you pointed out, my arms they definitely help. Having a wingspan like this is definitely amazing for swimming. Having shorter legs is good for swimming. I'm probably going to say there are a lot of males out here that have longer legs than me, and I'm not kidding. That's one thing that's really good for being able to move through the water the fastest.
Yeah. So all these became your advantage as you know. Also, what is the regimen that you followed while you were,
Eat, sleep, swim. That was literally it.
Eat what and how much did you eat?
Eating anything and whatever I wanted. It's kind of crazy. So I guess for an extended period of time, 5 or 6 years, I went every single day without missing a single day. I never got sick. I was in the water on Christmas, birthday, holidays, everything. It didn't matter. And the thought process behind that was, when you take a day off in the sport of swimming, it takes you 2 days to get back to where you were. So when somebody is taking off on a Sunday, they're not back till Tuesday from where they were on Saturday. So I have that many days ahead of them. I was putting all of that, we would call it putting it in the bank. We were storing all of this good work that we were doing, this hard work that we were doing, continuous hard work, and it was going to pay off at some point.
Yeah.
So, we just kind of kept grinding. So I was swimming probably 80 to 100,000 meters a week, 10 practices a week, working out of the pool, 3 different sessions. So core was something that we really worked on and did a ton of body weight stuff. I was fully engaged in everything that I was doing, and everything around my life was based around the pool. Yeah. If something wasn't going to help me in the pool, then I wasn't doing it.
So, let me just draw you back to the 2000 Olympics. You're 15 years old, you don't win a medal, but you come back inspired. You've seen Ian Thorpe win a lot of medals. He was somebody you idolized.
Sure.
And you got this thing that now I must get an Olympic medal.
A
lot of athletes might say, I've been to the Olympics, that's great, I'll be known as an Olympian.
I wanted to win as many as I could, and coming back from Sydney, and like I said, getting a piece of paper that said I participated, that was all the motivation that I needed. For me, I wanted to win a medal. I wanted to stand on top of the podium and hear my national anthem play, and that stuck with me for those 4 years. It's a hard 4-year cycle getting ready for an Olympics, especially when you don't have a medal. That's the only thing that you want. And for me, it wasn't about really I guess it wasn't about chasing the medal record or this or that. It was doing the best that I could. And honestly, I performed and I trained. I guess I trained harder than anybody else. I was doing things that people dreamt about doing, in the water, training-wise, or I don't know. It was just I was putting myself in a position to have the chance to win a medal.
So there is obviously the thrill of wanting to win or chasing an Olympic dream, but it's a very lonely pursuit, especially if you're not in a team sport, if you're a swimmer. So pangs of loneliness, sometimes you felt, shuck, let me just give it up.
Staring at the black line on the bottom of a swimming pool for 3 to 5 hours a day really isn't the most enjoyable thing, and it's not the easiest thing to do. But I think when you have a goal that's important enough to you, nothing will stand in your way, and that's what it was. I wanted to accomplish those goals, and I was going to make it happen.
So we're talking about somebody who was maybe 16 at that age to start.
Hungry. I was hungry though. I wanted more.
But there's a lot of planning and preparation. So obviously you're also mentally gearing towards achieving your targets.
Yeah.
How much of sport is mental? Physically you're putting in a 5-hour regimen, but mentally, when you go to sleep, you're thinking about it all night?
I was very lucky to have a coach that literally worked and thought about swimming 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And he prepared me for absolutely anything, mentally, physically, emotionally, it didn't matter. Because when you go to an Olympic Games, you have to conserve your emotional energy. It's an exciting place to be at, and you have people from all over the world. So, you can kind of get sidetracked or lost in the direction that you're trying to go. So, for me, it was trying to the process. I guess that's what it was. We were figuring out the process of what we had to do in order to stand up and be able to compete against the best in the world. So yeah, it was just the process of it all. So for me, it was easy to kind of push through it because I wanted it so bad. You know, I mean, I had these quotes, I had these goals, I had, you know, all of these things taped in my locker that I saw every day, you know, when I got out of bed. And I think the biggest thing is during the days where I didn't want to go, or I was tired, I was sore, this, that, or the other, I still went. Because if I'm going to go to practice and I'm going to get 10%, 20%, 30% out of that day, it's better than getting 0. So I was always taking steps forward. And that's why everything worked out.
Yeah, that's fantastic advice for any budding sports person
I mean,
here.
well, also here, let me say this. Is there anybody in here that likes to get up every day and goes to work, and go to work every day? Like, enjoys getting up super early in the morning, and they're like, yes, this is what I'm done to do. There's not a single day where you guys are like, I don't want to go to work. Not a single day. I mean, I swam for over 20 years, and I can guarantee you there was probably 100 days where I didn't want to do anything. I wanted to stay in the pool or stay in my bed and not get out. But those were the days where you have to. You have to get up and do something, because I think that's really what separates the good from the great. The greats do things when they don't always want to do them.
So, it's now 2004 and you win your first Olympic medal. What's the feeling then? I mean,
It was the greatest feeling, that I can remember. I remember winning the 400 IM, breaking the world record, breaking the Olympic record, and standing on the podium, listening to my national anthem play. This is the very first day of the Olympics, and obviously my mom is there, and we shared the medal through a chain-linked fence. So that was the only way that I could really see her, because I was swimming and getting ready for the other events. So I passed her the medal, and next thing you know, my coach comes out of nowhere and says, you can't be doing this anymore, we got to get in the water and warm down. There's 10 other races that you have to do over the span of the next 8 days. You got to get in the water right now and get ready for tomorrow. So that was interesting, but I look back now and it's what I needed. You know, like I had to have that, but that first gold medal is probably one of my favorite ones.
so if you're an Olympian, you win a medal, there are 3 things that can happen. One is, hey, I'm an Olympian and I've won a gold medal, and that's it. You know, this is what I wanted to do in life, I've got it. The other is it can make you casual, careless, callous. The next time you compete, you're not there. And the third is, it can make you exceedingly hungry for more success. Obviously, in your case, the third thing applied. So what was the process? From 2004, you start winning medals, till 2016, you got 28 medals.
I wanted to do something that nobody else has ever done in the sport. That's what made me hungry.
Yeah.
You know, if I got 1 medal and I swam an okay time, I want to go faster. That's just what it was. Like, I was chasing times because I knew that if I could get to certain times, there wasn't anybody else in the world that could do that time. So when we talk about competitors,
Yeah.
I knew my competitors better than they knew themselves. So it was kind of...
This is interesting territory. So at the elite level, where Olympians participate, is there a lot of kind of, let me find out what the other guy is doing, spy versus spy? What's their progress? How can I get better?
I mean, I swam so many races and so many events. So I was always conscious of what the other athletes were doing in the world in those events, because I was going to have a time where I was going to swim against them. And we can talk back to the mental part of it.
Yes.
When these things come on, when these bright lights come on, not many people can step up to that challenge. So if you have a person like that, then there are ways that you can kind of expect that they're not even going to be in the race. So it's, I don't know, it was just something that my coach and I were always very aware of. And we kind of knew how they swam their races. You know, like I knew, you know, the 100 fly, for example, in 2008, I knew that Michael Phelps was going to be out a second faster than me. And I knew if I could go 24.0 on the first 50, I had a chance to win. I was 24.01 at the first 50, and I won by 100th. So we kind of knew what to expect.
Yeah. The time spans, the event itself, whether it's in the sprints or in the pool, certainly it's not like running a mile.
Yeah.
And yet it can be very tactical. So,
Always.
So how do you make it so tactical? What happens?
I mean, it's all strategy for making sure that you can finish a race. So, I mean, for us, it's not overdoing the first 50, or back to not overdoing, using my emotional energy reserve, or not going too far. Always making sure I'm conserving through that whole entire week, because over an 8-day program, I'm swimming 17 races. I can't get caught up on one race. If I have a bad race, I have to put that race beside. I have to push it aside to prepare for another race, because that could take away from the other things that I'm doing. And when I'm going up against the best swimmers in the world in each individual event, I have to be my best. And if I'm not, then I won't win.
So you mentioned about the emotional aspect of it briefly. How did you take second place or third place? You got a silver medal, or you got a bronze on the podium.
I got a couple. Yeah, I don't like those. Honestly, they motivated me more than anything else. My losses were the best things that could happen to me, because when I had a loss, it was because I wasn't doing what I needed to. I wasn't preparing myself the best way that I could. So I got what I deserve, and I think that's the great thing in sports. As much as you want to prepare or not prepare, you're going to get the results that you deserve no matter what. So, if you're going to do something, you might as well give 100%.
Yeah. So, you've got, I mean, at the level at which you are competing and winning, there is very sophisticated coaching available. There is sports medicine and, evolving nutrition theories that have come out, and then obviously it's the desire of the individual. In what ratio do these work in the making of a champion?
I would say most of the making of a champion would be mostly mental.
Mental.
Yeah. It's mostly between the ears, just because it's like your mind is such a powerful tool, right? So you use it to your advantage. And I think as a kid growing up, I was taught to take the word can't out of my vocabulary. Because if you say the word can't, you've made your mind up. Do something else. Like if I say I can't get out of bed this morning, I'm not going to get out of bed. So I think just those negative words, I think, were something that I took out that helped me believe that whatever I put my mind to, I could achieve. So yeah, I guess it's like we were saying, we tried to keep it simple as you possibly can do it. Because the more you start complicating things, it's just never going to go well.
So let me just kind of turn the question around a little bit. Between talent and the mental toughness, what proportion works for a champion?
70-30.
70 mental?
70-30, 60-40. Physical to mental. Yeah, I think it's more mental than people think.
More mental.
Yeah. And that was something that I was so lucky that my coach was able to, kind of put me through these little tests and practice that would help me mentally prepare myself. Whether it's breaking my goggles on purpose so I can't swim with goggles during a race. So then I have to figure out a way to stay calm and to stay relaxed. Or when I do visualizing, I spend a ton of time visualizing on how the race could go, how I want the race to go, and how I don't want the race to go. So I'm already prepared.
Yeah.
For whatever happens, I can accept it and move past it.
In that stretch from 2004 to 2012, we'll come to 2016 a little later, were there days when you said, this is just agonizing now, let me go on a binge, eat.
Well, eating was a job, first of all. Eating was a full-time job for me. I was fluctuating between 5 and 10 pounds in a week. So it was something that we just had to stay on top of to maintain that weight. But from 2004 to 2012, I would change it and go from 2008 to 2012, because that was probably the most difficult time for me in my career. Coming off of the 2008 Olympics, where I accomplished my dream, my goal of doing something that nobody had ever done, winning 8 gold medals. And then I asked myself, now what? What am I going to do next? I didn't want to be in the sport. I didn't want to swim anymore. I needed space. I needed my own time. And that was something that, you know, it's frustrating to look back on, but it was what I chose to do. You know, I chose to skip a week of practice here and there, 2 weeks here and there, because I didn't care. And in 2012, I got the results that I deserved. I mean, we almost got away with doing no work and having a pretty successful Olympics, but there were 2 races that still to this day frustrate me, and
Yeah.
I mean, I probably would have swam a little different, but it is what it is. So
You also announced your retirement then in 2012. And
I
then,
needed to. I mean, I was just done. I
and
was finished.
you went through some tough times.
Oh, of course. I mean, I went through some of the scariest times of my life after 2012. Parts where I didn't want to be alive. And that was, you know, sitting in my room for 3 to 5 days after my DUI and not wanting to be alive. I guess I kind of realized that I needed to do something to change. I needed to get help.
It got as intense as that, you know, matter of life and death. Now this is interesting, you know, mental health of athletes
real.
is becoming
Real.
It's real.
Yeah.
It's becoming an issue. Just, I mean,
Sure.
I don't know how much you know about cricket, but suddenly there's an epidemic of, you know, among cricketers from the age of 21 to 35, 36 who are saying, I want time off. I don't think I can play. I'm going through depression, whatever. So when you say it's real, why, how, what happens?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is that we all need to understand is that it's okay to not be okay. You know, like, we're human beings. We're going to go through ups and downs. We're going to have struggles. It's the way of life. You know, if life was easy, then it wouldn't be as fun.
Yeah.
You know, so it's you know, we kind of have to have those ups and downs to really be able to learn and grow. And for me, my downs were, like, as I said, some of the scariest moments of my life. But, you know, for a long time, I couldn't look at myself in the mirror because I saw myself as strictly a swimmer, not as a human being. And that's scary. So for me, I had to find out whatever it was that I was looking for and find out who I was. So for me, during that process in 2014, I was able to really see and like myself the way I am. And I liked who I saw in the mirror. And for me, I still have days where I go through struggles. I still have depression spells. I still deal with anxiety. It's something that's going to be a part of my life forever. And it's what makes me me. So
Yeah.
I've accepted that. And honestly, I just try to grow and to learn from each experience, but prepare myself even more than I ever have before. Because it's as you said, there are so many other people who are finally opening up and saying that they're going through a difficult time, or they need a break. It's real, you know, and it's people showing their human side.
Yeah, but it's very interesting because most of us think elite athletes are supermen or super beings, and here's a very human dimension to them.
I mean, I think that's one of the things that, you know, I'll say. I think as an athlete, sometimes, and a male athlete, I felt like I couldn't say that I had this issue going on because it would show a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's a weakness when you're not sharing it because you're compartmentalizing it and digging it and stuffing it down so deep, and it's going to come out when you least expect it. So, you know, I mean, if there was a gold medal for compartmentalization, I think I would have won it. But it's not a good thing. So, you know, I make the joke that I learned to communicate at the age of 30.
Yeah.
It's
Are you
not a great thing, but at least I learned.
Are you working out or helping out other athletes who may feel similarly?
I have to. You
amongst
have
the
to.
men? You
Yeah,
have to.
because I mean, we're not alone, and you know, I think the more we work together, the better off we're going to be, and that's really, I mean, with everything in life, you know, if you can work as a team, we can do so much more. So I think, you know, the more we get to share the experiences that are challenging for us, I think it's only going to help you grow as an individual, and it's going to help change the lives of so many people. You know, the suicide rate is going through the roof, and that has to stop. You know, we need more people standing up and talking about their struggles, because there are so many people, and I can't say it enough. There's so many people that are going through the same exact thing, and 1, 2, 5, 10, 1,000 people opening up and talking about their struggles are going to help millions and millions of people. So if we can save 1 life, 10 lives, 1,000 lives, that for me is way better than winning an Olympic gold medal.
Michael, I've got a question here is, what was your motivation for making a comeback after having quit? And what was your equation with your coach? Obviously, you had some unfinished business, which is what made you come back.
Well, losing the 200 fly didn't really help in 2012. That was kind of frustrating. So for me, I think the biggest thing that I always said to myself is I wanted to finish my career on my terms. That was it. So for me, I felt in 2012 that I didn't really do that. I didn't give myself the opportunity to do what I could do. So I wanted that. I didn't want to have to live with that for the next 20 years. Kind of have that what if. What if I did this better? What if I did that better? So for me, I wanted to give myself that chance, and there was nobody else that could make that choice but me. So I chose that I wanted to come back, and I'll never forget the meeting I had with my coach, and he just said, we're doing it my way, and that is the only way that we can do it. And at that point, I had to just say, all right, fine, let's do it. And not complain, not argue, not talk back. I was really good at all of those things. But just trust the process. And I think going through that from, coming back in 2014 and enjoying the process again, I felt like a high school kid. And I was having fun. And I think that was the best part of that journey. Climbing back up to the mountain the mountaintop is really easy. Staying up there is even harder.
Yeah.
So that climb and that journey was easy because I wanted it so bad, but it was so enjoyable. And being able to finish how I wanted, come back and four-peat the 200 IM, win the 200 fly, win a couple relays, but have my family there, my firstborn son, my wife. Those are moments and memories that I will have forever, and those are some of my proudest memories.
I'll come back to the family bit a little later, but one vexing issue, which is not about only if it's swimming, but sports in general, and which is doping.
Yeah.
So what's your opinion? How does one control, counter, or conquer this menace? Or should it? Some people argue those who want to dope, let them dope.
I mean, I'll say it, and I've said it before. I don't know if I ever competed in a clean heat. I feel like there were dopers that I competed against throughout my career, 100%, without question. So I think there's one organization that can change it, and they don't really want to.
You mean the International Olympic Committee?
Yeah, they have a lot of power that they could do something. Yeah, of course. I think to really see the change, it's got to come from the top. And as sad as it is to say, we haven't seen any change. There's still people out there that are competing that are cheating. So until the sport cleans up, until all sports clean up, I mean, it's frustrating for me. I hate it. I mean, I've been tested thousands and thousands of times. So if we can hold everybody at the same level playing field, fine. But I know that's not the case. So until that changes, nothing else will change.
So, a more philosophical question, and this is something that you can shed light on because you've been at the top for close to 2 decades. So, do you see sport as an enabler in a world full of strife, as an enabler of building bridges rather than
I mean, I think
is sports the way out for a lot of when so many avenues shut down, sports should be used.
I mean, if you look at the Olympic Games, the Olympic movement. For the U.S., it's every 4 years we have our election year, right? So I'm not going to get into that too much, but it can be challenging. And honestly, I feel that during Olympic years, it doesn't matter what's going on. People are so excited, and they're so just in tuned to sports. And sports, I think, brings people from all walks of life together. And I think it's so powerful. So I think the more we can do that, the more we can have kids just enjoying the process and out there playing. Like having 3 kids now, I got my 2 oldest, oh my gosh, if they could be outside all day long, they would, in a heartbeat. Like running through puddles in the rain, like playing games, like kids are kids. That's how it should be. And that's, in my opinion, that's what sports are.
Yeah.
I really I feel like we need to get back to what we were talking about, bringing everybody together through sports.
This is an interesting question, but you've answered part of it, but maybe you can complete it. This is from Akshat Jain. How do you handle the claim of being called the greatest Olympian of all time in the world? How does it not get to your head?
Well, I'll start with the second part. I was raised by a very, very amazing woman. My mother raised me as a single mother, and she taught me everything. So I think that's the reason why it won't get to my head. And sorry, the first part.
So the greatest Olympian.
Oh no, I mean, let me look at it. Sorry. How do you handle and claim being the I honestly don't really think of it that way. I just think of it as I'm a human being doing what I love. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that answers the question or not.
You mentioned your mom
Yeah.
about the upbringing she's given you. So, I mean, when you speak to a lot of sports persons from disciplines, a very good support system makes a big difference.
Of course.
And it comes from the immediate family.
I mean, I had like my team through my career was the exact same. It never changed, and it still hasn't changed. We have a very tight-knit circle. My coach, my agent, my mom, my trainer, and that was really it. I mean, those are the only people who are going to help me achieve the goals and the dreams that I want. So they were always there to support, to help in any way they could. I wouldn't have changed it. No way.
I'll come to the support system, but I must get this question in. That you've started a foundation.
Yeah.
So, and it's to do. You had heroes outside of sports,
Sure.
role models.
Michael Jordan was my.
Michael Jordan.
I mean, that was the guy I looked
from
up
sport.
to. Yeah.
Outside of sport. What makes you go after a foundation for start a water foundation?
So when I first started swimming, obviously you heard that story, and after 2008, I received $1 million bonus from an old sponsor, and I instantly started my own foundation. I learned to swim for water safety, and that was it. And drowning is the second highest cause of death for children under the age of 14, and that's something that needs to change, needs to stop. And that's why I was saying, when we teach kids to swim, we teach them to be comfortable in the water, calm, because that's the number one step. You have to do that. So over the last 10 years, we've taught over 25,000 kids. It's good, but I need more. I want more. There are too many kids that are losing their lives out there. And going back to the mental health thing, it's the same exact thing. This is an epidemic. Nobody believes that it can happen to you or your kid until it does. So I'm trying to get everybody out in front of this so we can save more lives. But then also we added recently a mental health component side of it. I learned to deal with my emotions at later stages in life, and I feel that if you have the opportunity to really learn and express what different emotions you're going through and you're feeling, I feel that you're going to be able to just be more, you're going to be able to accomplish more. You're going to be able to communicate and talk about some of the things that you're going through instead of compartmentalizing those. And the things that we're teaching the kids in the Boys and Girls Club and Special Olympics worldwide, these things are core things that they're able to carry throughout their whole entire life to help them in the stages when they need them the most.
So, there's a question from Mr. Bagai, if I've got or GB Bagai, if I've got the name right. Would your foundation like to invest in the huge unexplored potential of swimming or swimmers in India? Would you start a foundation in India to help budding swimmers?
We are worldwide right now. I believe I don't know where in India a few years ago. I know my sister came over for a swim school to teach some kids over here. Honestly, this is fourth time I've been to India in the last year. Most recently, I was here with Under Armour, opening a brand house here, and I want to come back more. I would love to come back more. I would love to teach. I would love to try to help people experience some of the amazing things that we can in life. So I look forward to bringing my family back a lot more. And so let's get a swim school. Let's do something. Let's help. Anything. I'm open.
So let's talk now about your family, the three women in your life, and now three young men. So
I mean, without my mom, there's obviously this. I wouldn't be here today. I owe her the world. She helped me through good times and bad times, and helped make me the person I am today. My wife, we've been together, I guess this will be our 13th year, going on 13 years on and off. So we've known a lot, I guess learned a lot about each other over that time, and we've kind of seen everything that you can possibly see. So she's my everything. And watching her raise the three boys, it's a dream come true.
Three boys, and one of them is Boomer.
Boomer,
the oldest
Beckett,
one.
and Maverick, yeah.
And Boomer's already hit the pool?
Yeah. You can't get him out of the pool. He's the most fearless kid in the water I've ever seen, so it's a good thing, but it's also scary as an adult. I watch him dive down to the bottom of the pool and get rings and his trucks that he throws in there, and he loves it. So it's good for me to see it. I don't know if I want him to be a swimmer.
Why not?
I don't think it's fair. You know, he'd have to live in my footsteps, and that's not fair to a kid. You know, so for me, I'd just like him to find his passion, whatever that is.
But he might get everything that he needs at home, you know, in terms of coaching and advice and mentoring.
I don't know if he wants me to be his coach. That might not be a good idea.
I have this, it's something which is kind of, I've wondered about it all my life as a journalist, is that when you're a prodigy, when you start so young, and when you are at the age at which you are now, 34, do you feel that I've gained so much, but I've also maybe lost out on teenage years, some childhood, the fun of being with, school friends,
Sure.
etc. I've been spending time in the pool.
So throughout my life, I had the opportunity to do anything and everything, and for me, I wanted to take every opportunity that I could to be the best athlete that I could be, because everything that I was giving up, I had the chance to do when I was done. I missed out on a few dances or dates, movies, this, that, and the other, but I had opportunities that nobody else ever had. And for me, I'll give up anything to do that. So it was easy for me to give that stuff up because, now, and it's actually kind of comical. I feel like that Boomer and Beckett and I are probably learning some of the same things at this very time because, for me, I was in the pool swimming all the time, right? I said before, eat, sleep, and swim. That was my job. That was my life. So, I didn't have the chance to have the experiences through the teenage years and on that other kids had. So I'm experiencing some of that stuff now and learning some of the stuff now that I probably should have learned or could have learned at a younger age.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. It's enjoyable for me, and honestly, it's challenging for me too. But I think the biggest thing that I've really learned with kids is I've learned the definition of patience a little bit more.
Yeah.
They're always testing my patience, and they know how to press my buttons better than any human out there. So it's a cool process.
So there is an interesting question from Vivek Krishnani. This is a lot of kids, when they look at achievers, it makes them feel very ordinary. And they believe that they may never be able to become another Michael Phelps or whatever else. So what is the advice you would give them? They've got a little talent, potential.
Try to be their own person. For me, I was never trying to be the next Mark Spitz. I was trying to be the first Michael Phelps. Yeah. And that was my goal. So, I think when you try to be somebody else, it's almost impossible to be somebody else. So, it's just trying to be the best you that you can possibly be. That's really it. Everyone used the comparison for me and Spitz for how many years, and then that was never the goal of the dream. I didn't even know who Mark Spitz was when somebody first asked me. So it's and not because I don't know my history, but that wasn't what I was trying to chase. I was trying to do something to be the first. I was trying to be the first person to ever do something in that sport, or the first person to ever do something at the Olympics of that magnitude. So, my goals were my personal goals, and nobody else is going to stand in the way. Okay,
so we are in the home stretch now. Who was your favorite or, hero, sporting hero outside of swimming?
Jordan.
Michael
Jordan, for sure.
And
I think just because it was no matter what he was going through, when he went on the court, he gave his all. If he had a flu, if he was sick, he still came out and dropped 50 points. So he didn't let outside things affect what he was doing on the court. And in my opinion, he changed the game of basketball. So for me, I wanted to do that in the sport of swimming.
And your Most bitter rival?
Myself.
Yourself.
I mean, honestly, it's like I'm my worst critic. So, I mean, I'll say, yeah, I'm the hardest on myself out of any people in the world. So, I mean, but I will say I had some of the greatest competitors in the water that really did push me. I mean, you think about it, I swam with Lochte for basically my whole career, and we were 1-2 or 1-3 basically every single race. So, you know, I was competing with the best of the best, and I had them basically next to me every day.
Is there any name you can give where you thought every morning you woke up, I must beat the shit out of this guy?
Yeah, going to 2008 when Thorpe said it was impossible to win 8 gold medals. I had that highlighted in my locker. So, and then going into 16, he had publicly stated that that it would be, I don't know if it's impossible, or he said it was unlikely that a athlete over the age of 30 could win an individual gold. So I had that highlighted as well. And then I actually asked him about it, and he said, well, I know how your mind works, so you can thank me. So it's just kind of comical.
Dr. Shalini Khandelwal, if I've got the name right, asked this question. Do you think starting so early made you possibly burn out faster? Though, you know, I mean, swimming is a sport where you... But the important, the operative part is, what is your advice to young children about pursuing a career for a length of time?
I mean, if you look at the greats, like the greatest in their sports, they started very young.
Yeah.
You know, you look at Tiger. Tiger had a club in his hand at 1.
Yeah.
You know, I was in the water at 7. So I think there's an advantage of starting early and learning the important like techniques and all the little small things in each sport. But I'll say as a kid, you know, as you heard me say, like play different sports, do different things, find what your passion is. You know, that's something that, you know, as a dad now, you know, I'm trying to put them into every single sport or every single activity, because you don't know what they're going to gravitate towards. And you know, I think for the longevity that I had, I can speak to that. It was just the goals. Yeah. It's that easy. You know, like if I had a goal sheet and I accomplished everything on it, then I turned it over and wrote a different one. So I was always chasing those goals, and that was something that I learned how to do at a very young age. So goal setting, I think, is something that's very important because it gives you a purpose to get out of bed every day. And to your point, when you were saying to beat the shit out of somebody, yeah, that's what it was. I mean, I had to have that every day to get out of bed, because back to the point of saying, you know, there were days where I didn't want to go. So it's finding those little small ways to help you stay motivated when you don't want to do things.
Okay. Now, you've been globetrotting since, you know, over the past few years, ever since the Olympics, and you've seen many countries close up. What do you think India needs to do to become a sporting nation? I mean, you know, it's been in many ways a low priority area for us for donkey's years. The sports ministry was supposed to be, or thought to be, a punishment posting for a long while. Things are changing.
I mean,
but what can be done to kind of accelerate?
I mean, like we were saying back there, it's keeping everything simple. You know, it's doing things that you can control. You know, I had a conversation with an athlete who's getting ready for her 4th or 5th Olympic Games, and it almost like she didn't really know what she was doing, and like was kind of lost. And I basically broke it down to, you know, take 5 things and work on those 5 things. And do those really well for a month. After that month, it's going to become a habit, right? So then you can take on 5 or 10 other things. And once you've done that, you can do 5 or 10 other things. And before too long, you're ready to go. You got everything that you need to be the best that you can possibly be. So I think it's the small steps. You know, Rome, the famous saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. I hate hearing that, but it's so true. Because you can't expect something overnight. You have to go through the process of it. And that's the biggest thing. You know, I can't jump out of bed tomorrow and say, I want to break the world record in 200 IM. No, I have to do the small pieces to be able to get to that goal. So I think it's really taking a step backwards and understanding what you want, and then figuring out a plan on how you're going to get there. You know, my motto throughout my whole career was dream, plan, reach. Figure out a dream, plan on how you're going to get there, and reach for it. If it doesn't go well, you go back to the drawing board, figure out a different plan.
So my final question
Sorry,
to you.
I just always think it's like you keep it really simple, and it makes life a lot easier. Because we already live in an overcomplicated world.
Yeah.
We make it that much complicated. So if we can just keep it simple in everything that we do, you'll see life becomes easier.
My final question, what next for Michael Phelps? I've got two options. I'm giving you two options. Maybe you have a third.
No swimming.
One is like Johnny Weissmuller,
Well, I could do
Olympic
that.
gold medalist. He became Tarzan. He acted
That'd
in
be
movies.
fun. Yeah, we could do a Tarzan.
The other
movie.
option is, 2020 Tokyo Olympics, jump into the pool again.
No, that one's
I don't
not
have a
gonna
third
happen.
option, so you have to tell us.
No, honestly, when I retired, I didn't know what I was going to do, or I didn't know really what my next journey was, and being able to continue to do what I love, talk about the importance of water safety, mental health, all of these things are something that are so personal, but can change the world. And for me, it's enjoyable every day to work on getting myself better, but also helping others.
Yeah.
I'll be in Tokyo. I won't be swimming. I have a few athletes that'll be representing my brand for the sport. Excuse me. I have Michael Phelps. I have a brand, my swimming brand. So it's learn to swim all the way up to the highest level. So they'll be in my suits and hopefully winning some medals.
Yeah. So you did swim against a shark at one point in time.
A CGI. It's not a real shark.
It's a simulated,
it was a
simulated
simulation,
shark.
but
Yeah.
I was in the water with real sharks. I was 6 inches from a hammerhead. I was laying on the bottom of the ocean floor, about 35 feet down, and 12 or 13 foot hammerhead, so I'm about 6 inches over my face. And that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Just being in the water with those animals is something that's so special, and I think for me, I spend so much time in water, and I'm so fascinated by water. It's kind of crazy to me that we know more about space than we do about water, and water covers over 70% of our globe. So it's kind of interesting to me. But the ocean is a very cool place, and the great whites are some pretty cool animals.
The issue of retirement for sports persons is always is very troubling for people who've been at the top, and especially because by the time you finish, you're maybe 30, 31, 32 at most. You've got a whole life ahead of you, and you don't know. It's like a void. You're on the precipice. You feel that you have got over that, and there's a lot of fear, insecurity attached.
Sure.
You've got over that. You found your station in life.
You
know what to do for the next 70, 30, 40, 70 years.
Yeah, obviously it's always going to be challenging, and I'm still going to have difficult times, but I feel like after going through my first retirement, I really learned a lot. So being able to now go through my second retirement and be as removed as I am from the sport, I feel like I finally have a control of things in my life and where I want to go, and a lot of it is those 3 little kids at home. Those are the guys that that really make me get up every day to be the best that I can be.
Ladies and gentlemen, Michael
Thank
Phelps.
you guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Olympic medals.